Christine with you, tracking Rockets-Lakers Game 3. Houston down 2-0. Kevin Durant missed the first game with a knee injury and returned with 23 points in Game 2. Though he did have 9 turnovers, he's now questionable tonight with a sprained ankle. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Lakers could be getting some help. Austin Reaves has been upgraded to questionable after missing 3 weeks with an oblique strain. It would be a huge boost, obviously, with Luka Doncic still out. On the scene in Houston is our NBA reporter, Dave McMenamin, here with more. So, Dave, what injury updates can you share, starting with Reaves?
Yeah, Christine, Austin's been out for 3 weeks and 1 day with that left oblique injury that he suffered April 2nd against Oklahoma City Thunder. He's been working behind the scenes, I'm told been pushing behind the scenes to return quicker than the original 4 to 6 week recovery timeline. He started with 1-on-1 earlier this week. He's graduated to 2-on-2, 3-on-3. He's going to be a game time decision. The question is, if he can go, where will he fit in the starting lineup? Will he come off the bench like he did back in February when he came back from a calf injury? As for Kevin Durant, he missed Game 1 with a right knee injury. Now he's questionable for Game 3 with a left ankle injury. I'm told he suffered it in the second half of Game 2. He was tremendous in the first half of Game 2, 20 points. Second half, only 3 points on 1 for 5 shooting with 5 turnovers. This is going to be a major, major test for the Houston Rockets, whether KD can go or not, because they are facing a 3-0 deficit if they do not somehow get a victory tonight against the Lakers.
Yeah, he had 9 total turnovers in Game 2, which ties a career playoff high. Dave, what are the Lakers saying as they look to go up 3-0 in the series tonight?
You know, I spoke to a Lakers source the other night, and he described the Rockets as they're going to be the most vulnerable they'll be all series in Game 3. Obviously, they couldn't get the split like they had hoped for in Los Angeles. You're coming back home down 0-2. Your superstar, Kevin Durant, is clearly not 100%. And the Lakers, if they can somehow win tonight, you basically have already stamped your ticket for the second round. No team in NBA history has ever come back from down 3-0 in a 7-game series. And so all the pressure is going to be on the Rockets, and the Lakers obviously feel confident right now, and they could get that added boost from one of their stars finally back in the lineup. They've been missing Austin Reaves, obviously.
Yeah, you said they basically punched their ticket if they win this game. Teams are 159-0 when leading a best-of-7 series 3-0. David.
On the status for tonight's Spurs-Blazers game is in doubt. He suffered a concussion on Tuesday when he fell and hit his head on the floor. He did travel with the team to Portland, and he is currently listed as questionable. On the scene in Portland, NBA reporter Michael C. Wright joins us for more. So, Michael, what can you tell us about Wemby's status for tonight?
Well, Christine, we saw Victor Wembanyama this morning at the team shoot-around, so he got up some shots, and he's officially listed as questionable. But I got to tell you that one very important part of this whole concussion protocol is what they call the return to participation exertion process. Okay, it's a gradual thing. You start out stationary bike, then you go to jogging, and then it's agility work, and then it's finally full team drills, non-contact drills, though. Now, I got to tell you, the San Antonio Spurs kicked us up out of the shoot-around pretty early, and as we were walking away, one of the team spokesmen said, you can probably guess as to why. So it sounds like Victor is advancing through that concussion protocol, and he might be at the point where they're getting close to clearing him.
All right, certainly good to see him out there at practice. The Spurs were 50-14 with Wemby this season versus 12-6 without him. Michael C. Wright, live from Portland. Thank you. In the East, the Celtics try to bounce back from a Game 2 loss to the Sixers that tied their series. Boston loves the 3 and had an off night, shooting 26% from the arc. Philly got some good news with Joel Embiid, upgraded to doubtful after having an emergency appendectomy 2 weeks ago. Our senior NBA writer, Tim Bontemps, is on the scene in Philly. So what is the latest that you're hearing on Joel Embiid?
Well, the latest, Christine, is that we're still waiting to see if Joel Embiid gets upgraded from doubtful to something above that, and ultimately to whether he plays in this Game 3 tonight. As you said, just 2 weeks after that emergency appendectomy in Houston at the end of the regular season. Now, Embiid participated in parts of practice on Thursday. He began a strength and conditioning program on Monday. And we have seen Joel go from doubtful to playing in the past. We've seen him going from out to playing in the past. So the fact that he has not been ruled out as of right now, about 2 hours before tip, that gives you at least some opening for Embiid to make his return tonight against the Boston Celtics. And certainly the Sixers, who got a big win on Tuesday to even the series at a game apiece, would love to have their superstar center back for this game, what I'm sure is going to be a raucous crowd against their forever rivals from Boston.
Yeah, you mentioned that huge win that the Sixers got. On the flip side, what are the Celtics saying about trying to rebound from that surprising loss in Game 2?
Well, Christine, we've seen this script before from the Celtics, particularly on the offensive end, putting up and missing a lot of three-pointers. The Celtics were 13 from 50 from the three-point line in Game 2. This is the same script that's happened to them a lot of times in the playoffs before. They fall in love with the three-point shot, and if it's not falling, their offense can really get stagnant. And then on the other end, as you're seeing right here, the Celtics played a drop coverage with their center back at the basket. It's the third most that any team has played it in the player tracking era, going back to the 13-14 playoffs. That's 12 full seasons of data. So the Celtics dared Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, as you saw here, to take and make three-pointers. Those guys combined to make 11 in Game 2. The entire Sixers team was 4 for 23 in Game 1. So will Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe be able to make those pull-up threes in this Game 3? And will the Celtics potentially change their coverages up? That's going to be one of the key things to watch in this game, along with, obviously, will Joel Embiid make his return to the lineup?
Okay, we'll certainly be watching. The Celtics are 7.5-point road favorites tonight in Philly.
We are hooping in Philly tonight. Sixers and Celtics tied at 1 game each in their playoff series. Let's talk about it with senior NBA writer Tim Bontemps joining us live from Philadelphia. Tim, what can you tell us about Joel Embiid's status for Game 3 tonight and for the rest of this series?
Well, Jay, the Mats at Pittsburgh just went through talking about who could be drafted tonight, and we're still waiting to find out if Joel Embiid is going to play tonight here in Philadelphia. He's been upgraded to doubtful, up from out 2 weeks ago. Yesterday, he had that emergency appendectomy that's knocked him out at the end of the regular season, and through both the play-in game and the first 2 games of this series, as you see on our screen, are tied after a game apiece after the Celtics came back, or Celtics blew that game, I should say, in Game 2 on Tuesday night in Boston. Now, Embiid was at shoot-around this morning, participated in shoot-around. He participated in parts of practice yesterday. And while he is doubtful, we have seen Joel Embiid go from doubtful to in a lot of times in his career. So I would not say right now that there's no chance that we'll see Embiid play tonight. Now, Jay, we will see if Embiid is able to go. I would not expect him to immediately be playing 30, 35 minutes. He is coming off an abdominal surgery. He hasn't played in a couple weeks. You're playing against a Celtics team that tends to be very quick, shoots a lot of threes, has a lot of perimeter players. So perhaps he only comes back in a cameo role. But for a Sixers team that obviously is now back in the series after that Game 2 win, it would certainly be a huge boost if they get their superstar center back on the court in any form tonight here in front of what should be a raucous crowd here at home against the rival Celtics.
Oh, it's going to be very loud. Tim Bontemps from Philly. Thank you, my friend. Well, the Celtics are favored by 7.5 on the road tonight. 84% of the money on DraftKings Sportsbook is on Boston to win by 8 points or more. That is the largest percentage of money on any team to cover the spread tonight. Boston was favored, by the way, by double digits in games 1 and 2. Aaron Dolan here to help us bet tonight's NBA slate. Aaron, lots of money coming in on Boston. So how are you playing Celtics Sixers?
I would lay the points with the Boston Celtics, and that's really hard to say, especially as a Philly girl. But like you mentioned, Jay, they were double-digit favorites in their first 2 games, so we're seeing a 6-point adjustment heading into Game 3, of course, heading to Philly. Now, in Game 2, the Sixers, that was a stunner there. They shot great from the field as well as from 3, so I do think that there's some shooting regression that will be looming. The Boston Celtics are better on offense, they're better on defense, and again, it's going to be hard to recreate what they did in Game 2, so I do think they can win on the road and also cover. As for a player prop, I'm looking at Derek White to go over 2.5 made threes. He had 2 made threes in each game so far of this series on 22 attempts, so the opportunity should be there. But for me, this comes down to Boston shooting in Game 2. They went 19 for 50 from 3. So again, the opportunity is going to be there. And of course, that Sixers defense is going to be looking at Jason Tatum as well as Jaylen Brown. Thus, ultimately, again, opportunity for Derek White. So I like him over 2.5 made threes.
Okay, let's go to our other game. Kevin Durant questionable for Game 3. What player prop do you like in Lakers Rockets?
I'm looking at Şengün to go over 20.5 points. Now, in Game 1, we saw his player prop as high as 21.5 because Kevin Durant was going to be sidelined. Then when Kevin Durant actually ended up playing in Game 2, this moved down to 18.5. So right now we're seeing it in a little bit in the middle at 20.5, but he's averaging 20 points per game so far in this series. And other guys are going to have to step up. And Şengün is someone that we've seen time and time again do that, especially when Kevin Durant hasn't been in the lineup. And this seems like somewhat of a must-win game for them, even though they don't absolutely have to win this one, but they want to get one at home. So I do think Şengün will step up and have over 20.5 points.
That is Aaron Dolan. Aaron, thank you so much. All right, tomorrow night on ABC.